Dying Light 2 is quickly becoming Cyberpunk 2077 all over again. Let's talk about it. Alrighty guys, sharing my screen over here. I have an article with some pretty highlights on it. This will be sourced or cited down there in the description below. Anytime I cover any kind of news or article, I do of course cite my sources. It's important in college, it's important on YouTube as well. So, Dying Light 2 has been in quote-unquote developer hell for a while. And despite delays and reported chaos over there at Techland, that's the primary dev for Dying Light 2, they say it is not in dev hell. The Polish studio insisted. So now they've issued somewhat of an update, but it's not really an update. It's more of a request for patience, i.e. give us a little bit more time. In the video above, this one right here, Techland staff reacted to some of the more strong-worded demands for the game to be released ASAP. So, sound familiar? CD Projekt Red, release this game, release this game. They released the game. It's not ready. It's unplayable on console. It has issues on PC. Not nearly as bad as console, but it still has issues on PC. Now they have to release two major patches, one in January, one in February. Guess what? The one in February, they didn't even meet that deadline. And by the way, yes, I do have a Cyberpunk wallpaper right there. I'm not a huge Cyberpunk fan. I do think it's a great game. But, you know, I didn't want you guys to think I'm the biggest fanboy in the world and I'm, like, sucking CDPR off under the table or anything like that. But I will say, it's clear what happened there. From a content creator standpoint, somebody that does a ton of research around the gaming community and industry, what happened there was they announced the game far too early. They teased around. It got an unrealistic amount of hype around it to where the expectations were never going to be met. Even if the game released completely polished, it was never going to reach up. It was never going to reach up to that hype that it had built around itself. Then it got extremely rushed. Granted, the game was in development for years, like 6 to 7 years, with multiple delays in there. But CDPR got rushed, and instead of them being like, no, we are going to release the game when it's ready, they were like, not only trying to satisfy the community they had built up, the fans of The Witcher 3 and whatnot, huge fans of CDPR, but also the shareholders too that also wanted the game to launch because they knew they would make astronomical sales no matter what the condition of the game because of the hype they had built up. So, to keep the executives around the roundtable satisfied as well as the gaming community, which by the way were not satisfied once the game was released and we saw the quality of the game, and CDPR knew the quality of that game, they pushed it out. Now they're backtracking or struggling with patches and hotfixes to make the game playable. And it seems like Dying Light, which by no means is on the same level or scale of hype right now, but there's still die-hard Dying Light fans that are like, give us the sequel or we're going to slap you in the testes. We're going to pull on your foreskin and let it snap back. And, you know, Techland's like, ooh, we don't want our foreskin snapped. That doesn't sound fun at all. So they're rushing around. And what happens is they make mistakes because they're fumbling around. And Techland has about, I'm not going to say the same, but they're a large studio like CDPR, but also not a massive studio like Activision Blizzard and all of their subsidiary studios like Treyarch, Infinity Ward that make Call of Duty games every year. A wise man once said, I forget this journalist's name, but he once said, a delayed game will eventually be good. A rushed game will be bad forever. And that is so true. If you can just let up off the throttle, pull the clutch in for a moment, don't have to hit the brake, but at least coast in neutral and let these developers do their job to develop a game, then eventually it gets released and it's a quality product. But when you rush them and keep applying pressure on them, this isn't a BR, you know, and you crack somebody's armor and you keep pushing because you're about to get a kill on them. This isn't like that situation. Stop pushing the situation. This isn't Escape from Tarkov. You don't need to push, you don't need to rush the engagement. You don't need to push them or anything. So the one substantial piece of news from this update is that Dying Light appears to still be set for a 2021 release. Or the journalist says, at least the text 21 appears next to the end of the video. Perhaps the studio just thinks the numbers 2021 looked really cool. That's just good journalism right there. I like it. Ripping on the studio. The studio admitted last week that the game's 2018 announcement was too early. Again, this is a major problem with these game developers too, is that they shouldn't announce games that early because they have to take into account that there are going to be these delays in development, especially with COVID, due to a lot of these developers working remotely from home. There's going to be delays. And they need to account for that So maybe announce the game 8 to 12 months after when they planned on it, so that way it looks like they haven't been in development forever, and then fans start getting pushy. Because when they announce it that early, it does give fans a reason to push and be like, release the game, release the game. And then they're like, okay, they release the game, and it's a sack of crap. Most of the worry was born of a February report by The Gamer, which painted an unflattering picture of the Polish studio's progress on the game and its work culture in general. So again, that's kind of coming back to like Naughty Dog. And basically them working their employees to the point of having to be hospitalized in a couple of cases. Pretty crazy. I covered that. I was in a different house, and I covered when that shit was going down with Naughty Dog and how they were running their employees ragged to get Last of Us 2 produced. And even all the way back to some of the Uncharted titles, like the latter Uncharted 4 title. But Techland wrote that it takes complaints very seriously. Obviously, they're trying to run some damage control and some PR. Yeah, so just want to put this quick video out. I guess it's not really that quick anymore because I kind of got a little excited talking about all these studios and what they have to deal with. Not that I'm defending them by any means, because again, they're the ones kind of opening themselves up to being vulnerable to being pushed or rushed because they announce these games too early. Drop in the comment section below your opinion on this situation. Dying Light or CDPR or any of these game studios. Honestly, we'll get a little forum going on, a little happy think tank down there. These nose hairs are getting absolutely rambunctious. They're really tickling me. Might have to braid them or something. If you enjoyed this video, you know what to do. Thumb icon. If you love the video, you know what to do. Sub icon. Notification bell gets you alerted when the videos come online. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.